11:57 CST, rural Iowa. Andrew Forrester sat close to the fire with his bad left leg stretched out to receive the fullest benefit of the heat. A can of beans and water bubbled on a makeshift stand above the flames, and his bottle leaned comfortingly against his right hip. He would have to go slow with that. It would be a long night. Petey and Lester had gone down the slope about 5 minutes ago to check out the beau who had hopped off of the eastbounder that had just passed through, to see if he was carrying anything or was pretty enough to bother with, and he could now hear them struggling back up. Petey's wheezing was louder than usual, which probably meant that they were dragging the newcomer along. "How much?" Forrester asked as they dumped the limp body next to the fire. Lester Duncanhorst was wearing that ugly smile of his. "Not a damn thing," answered Petey Ekmar in a disgusted tone. "Not a dime or a bottle. Hell, even his clothes are crap. I'm taking his shoes." "He dead?" "Hit his head coming off," explained Duncanhorst. "I hit it again to make sure." "You don't look experienced," Ekmar commented. "Why'd you drag him up here?" asked Forrester, knowing the answer. In confirmation, Ekmar nodded toward Duncanhorst, who, at 45, had more interest in sex than either of the older men. Andrew glanced at the unconscious man and figured him for around 6 feet, slim, maybe 160, curly brown hair, no more than 35, and smart-looking in spite of the couple of days' growth of beard. Lester's type all the way. Forrester stirred the beans with a striped stick and shrugged. It didn't have nothing to do with him. "Give me a hand," Lester said to Petey while he began to unbutton the man's shirt. "I'll take his shoes," said Ekmar, doing so, "but you can take care of the rest of him your own self." Andrew Forrester shifted his leg and gingerly removed the can from the fire and left the 2 other men to their tasks, but his attention was abruptly drawn back to them when he heard Duncanhorst's sharp yelp. "What's the matter?" "He's having a fit," replied Lester, dancing back from the twitching body. Duncanhorst figured himself to be okay, but he was deathly afraid of anybody else who acted sick or strange. "I think he's epileptic or something." Petey scrambled back from the moving feet. "Jesus, Lester, you must have cracked his head when you hit him with that rock. He's dying on us." "I can kill nobody," Duncanhorst exclaimed. "Help me roll him back down the hill." The 2 men started dragging the now wildly jerking figure toward the brush surrounding the clearing, and Forrester began to curse himself over the prospect of moving on about 6 hours before he had planned to, when the first growling noise erupted from the injured beau. Duncanhorst and Ekmar dropped the body as if it had been a writhing snake instead of a man, and the group stared wordlessly at one another with the certainty that the deep-throated grunts they were hearing did not come from any human. The sounds might have belonged to one of the really big cats, or a bear or something, but not whatever it was rolling about at their feet. "Hell, I'm getting out of here," snapped Ekmar as he turned toward the fire. "Me too. Petey!" Duncanhorst's high-pitched scream burst from him at the instant that one of the struggling creature's hands shot out and grasped his left ankle with such raw power that he could feel the bones being crushed as if in an industrial vice. Lester dropped to the earth shrieking and beating at the terrible fist. "Help me, Petey! Help me!" For some reason, Ekmar stopped running, grabbed one of the loose sticks of firewood, and returned to start clubbing frantically at the madly wrestling mass, hitting Lester as often as the other. Then the other hand of the monster caught him by the neck, and the intermingling screams soared into the night sky like missiles searching for stars. Andrew Forrester was 62 years old and crippled, and he knew that there was absolutely nothing that he could do to help rescue either of the men from the roaring creature, which was now standing with them in its fists. So he struggled to his feet and began to run as swiftly as he had moved in the last 20 years in an effort to escape while it was occupied with the disintegrating bodies it already held. He fled with the speed of youth returned to him by the purest of terrors, and if he fell, he didn't notice, but he had only made it to the tracks, now long and empty, when it finished with Ekmar and Duncanhorst and turned its hellish eyes away from the fire to look for more prey. Forrester was running next to the tracks in the mad hope that something would come along to save him, but even if the hysteria had been able to return his very body of 40 years ago, he would never have escaped. The claws touched him first, with their keen edges sliding smoothly through the flesh of his neck.